I am Jane Taylor Thomas, President and CEO of the South County Economic Development Association, Inc., known as CEDA. CEDA provides community-based leadership and planning for economic growth and development in Prince George's and Charles counties. CEDA is a major stakeholder and an organization of record on issues having an economic impact on the quality of life that is experienced by citizens in the community. For information about CEDA, go to cedainc.org.
Hi, my name is Linda Thornton Thomas, and I am the president of the Prince George's County NAACP. I am excited to be here. I know we're going to have a robust conversation today, and I hope that each and every one of you have an opportunity to get your questions heard. I want to share a little bit about the NAACP. It is a civil rights organization, and we work on causes from education to healthcare. We have great opportunities for volunteering. You can come and participate in some of our workshops. We have seminars, and we would love to have you to become a member. So please go on our website, and that's www.princegeorgescountynaacp.org, and sign up. We look forward to talking to you, and we thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am excited to be here, and I hope you are as well. I would like to introduce our moderator for today. Our moderator is Michelle Wiggins. Michelle is a native Washingtonian and has been a longtime resident of Prince George's County. She has over 27 years of federal service and over 35 years of experience in public relations. Now, currently, Ms. Wiggins serves as a development coordinator for the Boris Lawrence Henderson Foundation, which is a nonprofit Black mental health advocacy group founded by Academy Awards and Emmy nominations actress Tajay P. Henderson. Michelle is a graduate of Duke Ellington School of the Arts. She received a Bachelor's of Science in Behavioral Science, Master's of Science in Acquisition and Supply Chain Management, and an MBA from the University of Maryland in College Park. Michelle has a passion for helping others in need and has volunteered her time and service at many organizations within the Maryland community. Right? Her services include, working with people and focusing on their areas of expertise. Michelle serves as a vice chair of the communication for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People in Prince George's County. I'm happy to have her. She is our chair. Yes. And she is a member of the Top Ladies of Distinction at Prince George's County chapter. And so I want to take this opportunity and welcome her and thank her for being our moderator for today. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Michelle. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Ms. Thompson, for your introduction. And thank you to our host. I am Michelle Wiggins, and I'm pleased to be your moderator for this afternoon's County Council at Large Forum. I would like to welcome all of you for taking this time to join us. An invitation was sent to all of the candidates, and I would now like to introduce those candidates who could be here with us today. Please forgive me and feel free to correct me if I mispronounce your name. In alphabetical order, we have candidate Sam Elira Jr., candidate Leo Bachi Eyombo, candidate Mel Franklin, candidate Calvin Hawkins, and candidate Jonathan White. Thank you all. We will now begin with our first question to be addressed in your opening statements. First up, I would like to introduce again candidate Sam Elira Jr. Mr. Elira, would you please give us your opening statement, and would you please answer for us What is your plan to improve constituent services, especially support of veterans?
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins. It's actually senior. I don't know where it says junior. I have a junior, but Sammy Lyra, senior here, the candidate for Prince George's County Council at Large. I am a long life resident of Prince George's County. I have a small boutique law firm located here in Bowie, Maryland, near City Hall, called the Lyra Law Firm. You might have heard of it. We do a lot of general practice work. What that means is we do a little bit of everything. You come here, we can assist you. And I am not new to leadership. We advocate for folks who, in terms of family law, who are trying to obtain custody of their children when the other parent is unfit, whether it's mother or father. We advocate and make sure that the resident of Prince George's County have proper representation in court. And the other thing that we do, although Maryland doesn't mandate that attorneys provide pro bono work, we have a pro bono program in my firm, but we take at least 3 cases where we give free representation to small business owners and other individuals who are facing financial difficulty. In fact, we've been working with a few business owners during the pandemic who landlords been trying to evict them. I'm glad to say that we were able to ensure that their doors remain open and that they continue to employ residents of Prince George's County. That's important to me. I understand that the true path to happiness is rendering service to others, which one of the reasons why that propelled me to public service. I'm not a politician. I'm an attorney by trade. I was raised in Prince George's County, attended Bowie State University, and then went to Western Michigan for law school. But the goal was always to come back here to do the best I can in Prince George's County. And as a concerned citizen, as I look around in terms of the wealth that we're supposed to have in the county, I don't believe that the wealth is expressed when you look around. Our roads inadequate. It's potholes, speed bumps all over the place. Property tax it tend to be raised each year. And the question that raised to mind, and when I speak to a lot of the constituents, is where's this money going? And then, of course, we understand that in raising taxes, that's one way to raise revenue, but that cannot be the only thing, only way to raise revenue. We have to explore the options, right? Our public school system's inadequate and has been underperforming for quite some time. And we have a lot of ideas and innovative goals to ensure that our school system progress the way it should. We have to invest in our small businesses as well and give incentives for other businesses to invest in Prince George's County. That's key. And there's some reason why I'm running for county council. And Ms. Wiggins, I don't recall the question in terms of the veterans, but what I will say is that I'm the business officer of the East Coast chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen. And we have, chapters all throughout the United States, and a lot of those folks in the chapters, obviously, they're veterans from the, World War II. And although, I'm not old enough to participate in World War II, they saw it fit to give me the business officer position, and I'm just honored to be among folks who are valuable and serve and did a wonderful thing for our country. So I think that the important thing is to make sure that we invest in our veterans. Any mandates or where there's reforms as a county council at large, we want to make sure that we invest in our military, invest in our veterans, because they're important, because they play a significant role in the success of our country. They're important because oftentimes you see folks, they serve, but then come out in the real world, but then doesn't have the resources that they need. So we have to ensure the resources are there for our veterans, because they're important, because that, and not investing in our veterans, that's one way in which you see the rate of homelessness, because these folks come here after serving, and then they have certain issues, whether it's mental health and certain diagnoses that needs to be addressed, but it's not being addressed properly. So having the resources in place, whether it's treatment, assessment, and whatever that they need, and ensure that they become productive citizens of the state, is important.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your answer. Next, we will have candidate Leo Bachi Eyombo. I will pose the same question to you. What's your plan to improve constituent services, especially support for veterans? So it looks like we lost him we might be having technical difficulties. So what I would like to do is just move on to the next candidate, and we will circle back. The next candidate is Mel Franklin. Mr. Franklin, would you please give your opening statement and also answer, what's your plan to improve constituent services, especially support for veterans?
Sure. And before I go forward, is there a time limit for my answer?
It's 2 minutes.
2 minutes, great. Thank you. That's good to know.
Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you first, the Reed Temple family, for having me. Pastor, well, obviously First Lady Whitlock for leading this effort. Pastor Whitlock, I've been at Reed Temple many times and over the years, and have always felt at home. So I want to thank you so much for having me. I want to thank all the other organizations who are part of this great event. My name is Mel Franklin. I've had the privilege of serving the residents of Prince George's County, first as a county council member representing District 9, which is the southern end of the county, for 2 terms. And then the voters of Prince George's County in 2018 elected myself and Council Chair Calvin Hawkins as your 2 at-large members of the county council. So we represent every single person who lives in Prince George's County. And it's been a privilege over these years. I'm an attorney by trade. I began as an attorney doing antitrust and consumer protection at the Federal Trade Commission, and before I became a council member, as well as some other roles. And as a council member, when I first took office, we were dealing with a spike in crime. We had in early 2011, we were having a homicide each day, and we had to work with then County Executive Baker over the next 8 years to reduce violent crime by 58% from what it was when I took office. And we led the state in job creation 5 straight years. And that was intentional in terms of reinvesting in Prince George's County in ways that we'd never done before. I've had the opportunity to pass over 100 pieces of legislation into law, and it's been a privilege to focus on issues like economic development and job creation, investing in our young people, particularly our public schools, focusing on increasing public safety resources and assets, and making sure that we have the kinds of services, wraparound services that we need for our communities that are most in need. I think with our veterans are critical to our community. We have the largest veteran population in the state of Maryland. I support creating a one-stop shop, a senior and veterans resource center. I also support doing an on-the-go senior and veterans pop-up resource center, bringing all the agencies to key locations quarterly in the county. There are a number of things we can do to improve constituent services for veterans, and I look forward to having this conversation today about all of those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to now circle back to Mr. Eyombo, if he is available. Oh, there you go. Yes. So would you please give your opening statement and answer for us? What is your plan to improve constituent services, especially support for veterans?
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Higgins, and thank Reed Temple AME Church for having us, and thank you to all my fellow candidates for coming in and to the forum. My name is Leo Eyombo, and I'm a proud graduate of Prince George's Public School, Suitland High School class of 1990. I'm a father, I'm a businessman, I'm a clinician, I'm an eye doctor by training. I'm a professor at Howard University, I'm an academician. I'm an author, a former healthcare executive, former health platform education executive, and an international development expert. Now, my key will be to make sure that the veterans are informed of what services are available. So we have to try to disseminate as much information out there so that we can be able to reach as much veterans as possible. And we can do that through churches, we could do that through regular public forums, we could do that through regular hubs, even shopping centers, that we can be able to reach some of these veterans for them to be informed that these services are being provided by the county. Another issue that I might talk about is transparency. The county has not been that transparent about, litigating issues when it comes to what needs to be informed to the citizens. I think that's an area that we need to look and we need to explore. And a lot of citizens also felt left behind the county. And one of the reasons why I'm running is because some people don't feel like the county represents them. And a simple example of that is basic rent. Rent is due in PG County on the 5th of the month, and rent is due in Montgomery County on the 10th. Montgomery County is richer than 16 states, 16 U.S. states. And the people of Montgomery County have a higher per capita income than the people in PG County. So why do we make our citizens in PG County pay rent on the 5th when we can give them those extra 5 days to be able to pay their rent and pay it on time? And we talk about inflation. That's where we should start. We should start giving them that break as opposed to penalizing them for paying rent late and taking them to court where the cases are going to go nowhere. They're still going to pay the rent. So we're putting unnecessary pressure to our citizens, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we will move on to candidate Calvin Hawkins. Would you please answer the same question? What's your plan to improve constituent services, especially support for veterans?
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins, for that question. And thank you, Pastor Whitlock and First Lady Whitlock and all who involved with making this a reality. For me, I'm known for the constituent services occurring in my office as a council member at large. So I will continue to build on the reputation I have now in responding to citizens. But I also wanted to say, along with Councilmember Mel Franklin, we have been involved in the last 3 years in the most significant crisis impacting Prince George's County, COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic. Notwithstanding that, we have still been able to provide record funding to our school system, and we created what we call public-private partnership to build 6 new middle schools to address some of the concerns in education. We're working to give seniors some of the things they need while not forgetting about working families. We're working to help reform our police department while giving our returning citizens an opportunity to become productive citizens while still holding them accountable as they come back into society. Mr. Moses may know this, well, not may know it, I'm sure he knows it, as Councilmember Franklin knows it, and it was said. We have the highest percentage of veterans anywhere here in Prince George's County than anywhere in the state of Maryland. Addressing your concern about veterans, this time around in our budget, we put $457,300 to expand services for our veterans. So I say that to you to say that we understand what's going on with our veterans. And one thing Councilmember Franklin and I have been able to do in our vision in leading our county and serving each and every one of you is have the courage to talk about equity and put in public policies that address equity, generational wealth for all. That's the kind of leadership and service that I've provided along with my colleagues over the last 3.5 years. And I'm hopeful that my service on the council will continue to get your support and your vote on July the 19th. Thank you very much, Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Now, next, we will have candidate Jonathan White. Would you give your opening statement and also answer the question, what's your plan to improve constituent services, especially for veterans?
Okay. My plan is to foster a larger civic engagement through methods that improve transparency, accountability, efficiency, and openness in our county government. Next, I'll promote a philosophy of service before self within our county government. I am a veteran. I deployed downrange. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. I did 20 years, 6 days. I am familiar with the disability claims and all the services at the VA. So if I'm elected, I will help each and every veteran write their resume, help them with their disability claim, help them with their VA issues, help them with their mental health crisis. And that's my goal. As a veteran, every veteran is my brother and sister. So that is my goal. And that's what I aim to do. And if any veterans need help, even if I'm not elected, please contact me and I'll help you with any claim, anything that has to be done to help you succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will move on to our next question. We will go in the same order. Our next question: how would you ensure that funding for public safety is made a priority to combat the increasing crime rate in Prince George's County. The second part of that question is, how would you monitor and assess the use of these funds? Mr. Elirs, would you please respond?
Ms. Wiggins, would you repeat that first part of that question for me, please?
Certainly. How would you ensure that funding for public safety is made a priority to combat the increasing crime rate in Prince George's County?
Well, the question is a good question. I mean, public safety is important. I mean, obviously, crime rates tend to increase in the county as of late, and and I don't think the pandemic did a good job to alleviate that. I think it increased the crime because you have a situation where folks is a trauma with respect to the pandemic, and there was already a crime issue as well. And I think funding need to be allocated efficiently and effectively, and work with the law enforcement to ensure that, one, they have the resources that they need to do their jobs. And as far as monitoring the fund, we need to make sure that the funding that is being allocated is being used in areas that is efficient and effective. And if the areas in which that the funds are being used are not effective, then we need to explore other methods. But it's of course, but I think the key is to make sure law enforcement have the resources that they need. That's key. And for me, and I tell you, one of the initiatives that I'm running on as county council at large is to for me, I think there's a connection between mental health and crime. So it's to ensure that funding also in terms of public safety goes into assessment for mental health, and then diagnoses as well. And then if the folks' insurance won't allow it, then give them free treatment, because we have a lot of folks who are walking around diagnosed or has mental issues, but they don't know they have mental issues. But if we have the treatment necessary, and they can go and seek the treatment that they need, then we can see what they do, issues that they do have, and then give them the proper treatment forward. And I think that would alleviate and lessen crime as well. So I think with public safety, it goes hand in hand with mental health issue that we have. It's a crisis nationwide, and I tell you, I believe the experts say 1 out of 5 adults in the country has a mental health issue. But then in Prince George's County, I believe, I'm an attorney, I'm not a math savvy, but I think that's 140,000 in Prince George's County of citizens affected by mental health. So we have to make sure that the treatments and the resources are accessible, and then free treatment and assessments as well. That's key. And of course, I think that would do a good job in alleviating this issue we have with respect to public safety.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want to remind that we have 1 minute for the response. We will now move on to Mr. Eyombo. Would you please answer the question, and let me repeat it for you? How would you ensure that funding for public safety is made a priority to combat the increasing crime rate in Prince George's County? And how would you monitor and assess the use of these funds? I think, again, we lost Mr. Eyombo. He must be having some difficulties today. So can we just move on to Mr. Franklin for that answer?
Sure, and thank you for the question. Public safety is a public health crisis and a public health challenge, and we need to approach it that way with the all hands on deck strategy and approach, not just reactively, which is the law enforcement part, but also proactively. One of the biggest things that we did in the first 8 years I was a county council member was a Transforming Neighborhoods initiative. Council Chair Hawkins can speak even more eloquently about it than I can, because he was a part of that effort with the Baker administration. And it was an all hands on deck approach of government, mental health, physical health, social services, targeting public safety, targeting the 6 beginning, but added 3 biggest hotspots in the county for public safety challenges. And that's a big part of why we decreased crime by 58% during that time. We need to bring that strategy back and focus on those areas that are most in need, not just reactively, but also proactively.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hawkins, would you please answer that question? Do you need me to repeat it?
No, thank you, Ms. Wiggins. May I begin?
Yes, please.
Yes. Right now, with Councilmember Franklin and I, he spoke on it. You can look at our track record. This year, we're putting $5 million in the budget for 2 new police recruit classes. We put money in for 5 positions for forensic scientists, 2 crime scene investigators. We got to deal with the state law that came out of the state requirement to deal with the police accountability commission, or we got to deal with the police accountability board. So we're taking our roles as council members to deal with some of these things. And as Mr. Elirs said, 70% of the individuals who get locked up in Prince George's County daily are under the influence of alcohol. Over 40% have some kind of psychotic drug in their system. So we're working from a mental health perspective as well. We're trying to give the services to help our citizens, but at the same time, we're holding individuals accountable for their criminal activity while also offering alternatives before those who may participate in criminal activity get engaged. So thank you for the question, and I'm honored to have had that opportunity to share my response.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. White, you're up next. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, ma'am. We'll get on to it. Like I said, our current, from the previous budget, our police are missing $23 million, like I said, and they're trying to do more with less. So they need every resource possible to get the job done. And just like last year, there were 396 carjackings done in Prince George's County. And right now that we're on a pace to break those records. Our police need every resource possible. And that is like, I would give them, if I'm elected, I would work out a plan where we bring in institute license plate cameras. These plans have worked in Baltimore and they've worked in Chicago. And these cameras cost $2,500. If we bring 10, that's a $25,000 investment that could possibly decrease these carjackings in this area. So my goal, if elected, is to give the police every resource they need to get the job done. Right now, they don't have the tools to get the job done. They're stretched thin, and they need every tool possible to complete their mission. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see that we have Mr. Eyombo back with us. So we're going to just keep moving along to the next question. The next question is, what efforts would you put into redevelopment, revenue creation, and smart growth for the county? And we will answer that question in the same order. So Mr. Elirs, would you please?
Ms. Wiggins, thank you for the question. It's a good question. So what frustrates me about the resources or the lack thereof that we have in the county, we're talking about, let's say, for example, Ms. Wiggins, a friend or a family visits you in the county. They say, hey, take me to a nice restaurant. A lot of times you have to go to Anne Arundel County, DC, Virginia for these type of amenities. Why don't we have these same nice restaurants that folks like to frequent here in Prince George's County? That makes no sense to me. And we're talking about, breaking up revenue, folks, our money is not being circulated within the county. We're losing revenue. And one way to maintain revenue, or at least increases, is make sure that our money circulates. One way to do that is make sure we give incentives to these other businesses, bring them here in the county, okay? And then invest in our businesses that we do have in the county here. So, and again, I'm an attorney. I'm not a politician. So when I'm out on the campaign trail speaking to businesses, they tell me there's a lot of loops that they have to climb just to operate in the county. There's inconsistencies with respect to the different resources that they have. For example, you have inspectors that come in and inspect the business. One inspector might have one requirement and then another have another requirement. It creates an issue and inconsistency. So that creates a problem for the business. And, we don't have a situation where we're investing in our small business, because what we have, if we're not investing in our small business, we have a situation where they will either take their business elsewhere in Arundel County or elsewhere, or they may go out of business. So if we invest in our small business in our businesses, then we have a situation where they're able to employ residents in the county. Our money stays here. So and as far as development, again, we have to listen to the constituents, listen to the people. We shouldn't, as county councils members, make decisions that we think or we believe that are in the people's best interest. They have a voice. In the true democracy, the people have the power, not the politicians. So we have to speak to the constituents, speak to the members, to the representatives of the county, ask them, what is it that you want? And then listen, and then bring those resources here. And I think that's one way to make sure that resources remain there and the revenue builds, and we make a better Prince George's County.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Franklin, I'm going to repeat this question for you.
Sure.
What efforts would you put into redevelopment, revenue creation, and smart growth for the county?
Thank you for the question. It'll take a lot more than 1 minute for me to fully answer it, but I'm going to give it a try. Prince George's County is the best place to invest in the best region in America. And we've done a lot over the last decade to make Prince George's County more of an economic destination, whether you're talking about MGM National Harbor, whether you're talking about the town square at Suitland, whether you're talking the headquarters of the Citizenship and Immigration Services that's now in Branch Avenue, whether you're talking about the Discovery District near the University of Maryland, Woodmore Town Center, New Carrollton, University Town Center. We can go on and on and on. We made a lot of progress, but I know we have a long way to go to get to the kind of amenities and the kind of economic development we need. We need automatic incentives for TOD, development around transit stations, to create high density, walkable, mixed use development at every one of our 15 metro stations. I appreciate Mr. Elirs' comments. My Council Chair Calvin Hawkins and I are about to propose an equity and inclusion agenda for our local business community to focus on small business growth and capital funds for our businesses here in Prince George's County, as well as increasing the requirements around utilizing those businesses in county contracting. So those dollars do circulate here. There are a lot of things that I'd love to talk to you about in this topic that we can talk about. But in 60 seconds, I would say that's the big picture. We're the place to be when it comes to this region. We have to create the right market incentives to drive the economy there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins. And when in terms of economic development, I failed to mention when I spoke about how we will deal with the crime issues, and Mr. White referenced it, we put $1.5 million in this budget, Mr. White, to deal with license plate readers and other technology to support crime fighting. So thank you for bringing that up. And if you look at what we're doing on the Blue Line corridor when it comes to development, the $400 million we are doing in Central Avenue and on up into Largo, from Southern Avenue and East Capitol on up, older communities, more senior communities. So we're not just talking about bringing economic development there for just restaurants and retail, but transforming some of those residential areas in downtown Largo to bring the kind of amenities that we all want to see. But it requires vision of a county executive and a county council working with our state and federal partners. And if you all have an opportunity to go on the county website, you can see some of the initiatives that are in place. And we think we're on the right track in meeting the concerns and needs of the different amenities that you're asking about in that one question. So I'm confident that the citizens will be pleased in the next couple of years of the economic development that will occur based on their concerns. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. White.
Thank you. Like I said, because of the pandemic, we lost a lot of revenue from our entertainment and other venues. But if we bring data centers into our community, that's the quickest and best way to bring into more revenue for the county. Loudoun County is our neighbor to the south. 70% of the internet traffic goes through Loudoun County, and just in 22 alone, they were able to get $500 million in revenue. If Prince George's County can just take 10% of that, that can do a lot for our schools, our police, our roads, and infrastructure. So our goal, and so if I'm elected, my goal is to push data centers and other green initiatives to promote our county. With the data center, this could be up and running in 6 months, opposed to building amphitheaters and other things. That's going to take a while. Data centers can be up and running, and that money comes every 1st and the 15th. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, the era of COVID has been challenging for all of us, and it has taken a toll, and we have had to seek help. The next question is a direct target of that. What measures would you take to ensure that the residents of Prince George's County get the mental services they need? Mr. Elirs, would you please elaborate? Can you hear me? Okay, I think we're having some problems.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Okay, great. There you go. What measures would you take to ensure that residents get the mental health services they need?
Well, I think I'll piggyback on what I indicated earlier, part of my initiative and things that I would like to see if elected as a county council at large member is because, like we mentioned earlier, that there is a mental health crisis nationwide as well as in the county. Well, before I even answer that question, let me tell you something, Ms. Wiggins. Part of what I want to do in terms of mental health initiative is I want to make sure that we have a mandatory mental health class in our public school systems in conjunction with counseling. What that will do is you'll have a situation where the students are taught how to deal with stress, deal with trauma, and then you'll have a situation where you don't have so much delinquency in the public school system. Because with delinquency, you have destruction of property. You have to employ more police officers in the school system. And then dealing with that issue, the students know how to deal with how to handle stress and have better ways to deal with their problems. You'll have less delinquency, less destruction of property, less vandalism, and less police in these schools. Then you'll have a situation where that's increased revenue. Maybe we could raise teachers' pay and give teachers tax incentives and save those revenues. Of course, the money's there, but that's one way to increase it. And as I indicated earlier, I want to have offer teachers, not teachers, but the residents free mental health assessments. Okay, because I think the money isn't in the budget, and give them free assessments and free treatments as well. Because then that way it would have the resources there, and we can make sure that they are diagnosed accordingly and effectively. So that way we don't have a situation where folks are walking around undiagnosed and then things are happening, and then we have to ask ourselves, well, why is crime continuing to increase, and why do we have these different issues going on?
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay. What measures would you take to ensure that residents get the mental services they need?
Thank you for the question. First, I want to tell you a couple of things that Council Chair Hawkins, along with the County Executive Officer, has been working on. As you know, Doctors Hospital is building a new behavioral health center at Doctors Hospital, now Luminous, that the county funded. So to respond to this very need, we do not have enough inpatient mental health beds in Prince George's County, and quite frankly, anywhere in the state of Maryland. And so that facility will be open soon, and that will serve the residents of Prince George's County who have mental health challenges. Southern Maryland Hospital, again, with assistance from the federal government, is now opening a new behavioral health clinic as well. And that's also going to provide more inpatient beds for mental health here in the county. We have to provide the services that our residents with mental health challenges need most. Mental health is oftentimes more complicated to treat than physical health issues, and it's very difficult sometimes to get those who are having mental health challenges to those services. So first, we have to make sure, one, that we have the services here, and number two, we have to take the services to the community. The great thing about the blueprint for Maryland's schools, which is the Kerwin Commission's plan around in reinvesting in our particularly most challenging schools, is it provides funding for wraparound mental health services in our public schools. That's an approach that we need to take and broaden to all of our schools, particularly those high poverty schools in the county. And that way, we're not just talking, again, reactively, once someone has a big mental health challenge and needs to be put into an institution, but we're actually dealing with it proactively when our young people first start to exhibit mental health challenges. So those are some of the things, and there are many other aspects to this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, ma'am.
Please respond to the question.
Yes, ma'am. I'll do just that. What we learned, as you asked in your question, from COVID-19, how inefficient, ineffective, and ill-prepared we were to deal with mental health issues in the country, but particularly in Prince George's County. As a consequence, working with the county executive, my colleagues, Mel Franklin and others, along with our federal and state officials, we are now directing resources to the hospitals that Councilmember at Large Franklin referenced, but also We're funding opportunities to bring more community doctors, whether they're psychologists, psychiatrists, to work in our underserved and underrepresented communities, because that's really the challenge. We have insurance that we can get, health insurance that may allow us to go get the mental health we may need. But in those underserved and underrepresented communities, that's not the case. So in the months to come, you all will see Prince George's County working and rolling out programs through our health officer and his team to really address those concerns that you asked in your question. And I'm committed, along with Councilmember Franklin and the County Council, to ensure that that becomes a reality.
Thank you. Mr. White?
I'll be brief. Like I said, we need to invest more towards public health and safety initiatives, and our outreach needs to be better to reach our residents. During the pandemic, I'm going to just give props to Mr. Hawkins and Mr. Franklin. Prince George's County led the way in the state of Maryland of fighting COVID and getting and making our residents healthy and keeping us safe. But like I said, the outreach could be better through town halls like this and better engagement by our councilmen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We are moving on to our last question. The council supports full funding of the county's public schools, including operational formula and construction spending. As a council member, what can you do to improve our school system, and how would you monitor and assess the use of these funds? Mr. Eliris, would you please elaborate?
Yes. So, Ms. Wiggins, our public school systems have been and continue to be underperforming for a long time. That's an issue. That's questionable in the county, and I think that's one of the things that the constituents, as well as me as a concerned citizen, is discontent with and displeased with. We have Goddard Aerospace Center here in Greenbelt, Maryland. We have NASA in Prince George's County. And if you look around and ask yourself, well, how many schools, public school systems, are in partnership with NASA? And so where we have a situation where we can have folks, graduate in the county with engineering degrees and the sciences and things of that nature. Not so many. I want to, as the business officer of the East Coast chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen, we have a robust youth and aviation program where we teach young children how to fly airplanes and they're able to obtain their pilot licenses. We're talking about teenagers. So I want to join those two entities together with NASA to have these type of programs within our public school system. What we also need is, and I mentioned this earlier, we have to increase teachers' pay, because teachers are key and valuable. Teachers are going elsewhere in DC, in other county, different counties that pay them more. And we're losing our valuable teachers. So we don't have these effective teachers to teach our students. So that's the issue. We have to increase teachers' pay. We need more boys and girls clubs in our public school system. DC's doing an outstanding job. They have boys and girls clubs throughout their school system, and they're not simply just teaching their students how to do homework. They are taking these students out to universities to teach them these life tools that are needed. And to guarantee success, because our students, they have to ensure that they have a vision and have ideas. Because without ideas and the vision, then there is no room to learn. They don't want to learn. Okay, so you have these boys and girls clubs in the school system that teach them career building, trainings and financial literacy. These type of things are necessary. And in terms of the public school system, we have to improve these old brick buildings throughout the Prince George's County. We have these old buildings, old schools. We have to improve them, and then we have to build more schools, because experts has shown that smaller classrooms work, and one would have smaller classrooms, build more schools. So we have to improve, and then we also, one thing that I like that we have in our universities, and I would like to see in the public school systems, is the study abroad program. That builds perspective and opens culture. And imagine that we have that in our public school system. That would get, promote learning for the students, and then we need that. So these are the key things that I would like to see. And I think that, of course, obviously as a county council member, I understand that decisions are not made unilaterally. We have to, have cooperation and collaboration with, the other council members as well as the school board, because, we fund the school systems, we have a say, so we want to make sure that these things are implemented, and that's key. And in terms of the funds, we have to, proper allocation of the funds. We have to, make sure that, reporting is necessary, is there to make sure the funds are being allocated effectively as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Franklin, would you respond?
Sure, and thank you for the question. As a public school dad, I'm very, the success of the public schools is personal. I definitely have some deep skin in the game. I think we have to do several things. Obviously, it's not going to fit in 60 seconds, but let me give it a shot. First, we have to continue to invest. We need to fully fund the Kerwin's Blueprint for Maryland's future, which is an unprecedented strategy for an all hands on deck kind of funding for every aspect of the public schools, from better teacher salaries, more innovative career oriented programs, as well as health and human service wraparound supports. I think we've got to continue to do what Councilman Chair Hawkins and I did with funding those unprecedented 6 middle schools going to be built in 3 years. Never happened before in Prince George's County's history. The next round will be up to 12 schools, and it'll be built in the next 4 years. It'll be a combination of elementary and middle schools. We have to continue to find innovative ways to invest in our school system. We also need reform. I think we need to double in the next 5 years the number of our specialty programs, career programs, as well as charter schools. Give people more great choices to stay in the public schools and not choose private school. That's critical. And so there's so many others. Absolutely, we should pay teachers more. We should get the state to give us authority to do a teacher's tax credit for teachers that teach in our most challenging school environments and get nationally board certified. There's so much we can do. There's so many great things that are happening. I don't want people to think that we don't have great programs within our public schools. We do, but we have a long way to go in a lot of parts of the county, particularly parts of the county that have the highest poverty needs. And we have to keep reinvesting and refocusing on it.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hawkins, would you like for me to repeat the question?
I would.
Okay. So the council supports full funding of the county's public schools, including operational, formula, and construction spending. As a council member, what can you do to improve our school system, and how would you monitor and assess the use of these funds?
Thank you. Through what we have already done, the time it takes to construct a school in the state of Maryland is just too long. However, this council, working with the county executive and other state officials, came up with an innovative approach of the public-private partnership. We are building 9 schools this year, but 6 of them under the public-private partnership. As Councilmember Franklin said, we're getting ready to build 6 more. Innovative, courageous leadership to deal with the issues of these old schools. Prince George's County have the oldest schools in the state of Maryland. And all I want our citizens to understand when they ask, well, why did they go public-private partnership? Because we want our kids to have an opportunity to learn in the most up-to-date, with the highest level of technology that they could have in advancing their understanding of education and becoming productive citizens. I believe working with our council, county exec, state and federal officials, and that outstanding CEO we have in Monica Golson over our public school system, the best is yet to come in our public school. Yes, we have challenges, but we are at a point in our juncture in the public school system where we have the right leader and the right support base around her to meet some of the needs that the council members spoke about, and even some of my other co-colleagues or co-candidates have raised. But we are going to get there. The best is yet to come. As a public school graduate from Oxon Hill High School, I'm grateful to be a part of the transformation of our public school system. Ms. Wiggins, before you tell me my time is up, thank you for the question.
You're welcome. Mr. Wright, would you please respond?
Okay, first, if I'm elected, I will vote to ensure that capital projects budgets will go towards major projects such as construction of new school buildings and renovation of older buildings. Next, I'm not a fan of the P3 bundle design that has been created. The total cost of that project was $1.23 billion. Based on the contract, that's $453 million for 6 schools. That's $75 million per school. The average national median cost for a school combined is $42.8 million, and the maintenance is $740 million over 30 years. That's a lot of money. And like I said, I'm not a fan of it. The company that you did this deal with is Canadian-based company. It's not an American-based company. Like I said, if I'm elected, we need to bring back the impact fees where the developers pay for these schools and infrastructure projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to thank all of you all for your passionate responses this afternoon. We are now going to move into closing remarks. Each of you will have 2 minutes to give your closing statements, and we're going to go in the same order. So, Mr. Elirs, would you please?
I appreciate you, Ms. Wiggins. I want to thank you and thank Reed Temple again for the opportunity to be here today. I'm honored. Quite frankly, although my positions along with the County Council, Hawkins and Mr. Franklin, we may differ in our positions. I'm honored to be in this forum with them. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Hawkins. He seemed like a good guy. He has a pleasant personality. We had a good interaction, and so I think they both are honorable men. But as a concerned citizen and just speaking to the other concerned residents in Prince George's County, they're discontent. We do not feel like we have a voice in the county council because, as it stands, decisions are being made and we're not bringing into the forefront. When these decisions are being made, we're not being called and being part of the process. And I tell you, the redistricting issue is one of the examples where things are being done, and then we find out later, these things are not in our best interest. So we have to have county council members in office that, one, represents the people, because in a true democracy, the people have the power, not the other way around. And then politicians tend to forget that. I'm not a politician. So again, because I'm concerned, I look around the county, I'm resolved. Things are not. We can do better, and I think Mr. Hawkins and Mr. Franklin are doing a good job. But again, they can do better. We can do better. We need folks in office that are motivated, that have ideas that are rejuvenated, fresh ideas, and to make sure that these things that we need to make a better Prince George County is there. And I am that candidate. I'm genuine about the things that I want to do. As a concerned citizen, we want to employ these things to ensure we make a better Prince George County. I would love to serve the community. I would love to serve this Prince George County where I reside and I enjoy. This is a wonderful county, a wonderful state of Maryland, wonderful county. And we have to treat the county like we treat our home. We have to invest in it. And folks can follow my campaign and assist and help me build a better Prince George County. You can follow me and social media at vote_Sam Elirs. That's vote_Sam Elirs. www.electsamuelelira.com. Volunteer to canvass with me, and I'll leave you with this quote. Plato said in the Republic, "The price good men pay for indifference to public life is to be ruled by inferior men." So we have to be concerned citizens. We cannot be indifferent to the issues in Prince George County. We have to be, to raise these issues. And then
thank you, Mr. Elirs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Franklin, would you please provide your closing statements?
Sure. And again, thank you, First Lady Whitlock, Pastor Whitlock, the Reed Temple family, all of the organizations that are involved in this event, and my fellow candidates, especially my fellow colleague and team member, Council Chair Hawkins. It's been an honor to be with you. We're in a unique moment where we're still in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are. Many of our small minority businesses were hit hard. Many of our residents were hit hard. And so we are in a moment of recovery, a moment of comeback, if you will. And we have to meet this moment. And quite frankly, it is from experience with a previous economic crisis with the Great Recession that I believe that I'm equipped, along with Council Chair Hawkins, to meet this moment. We need a real recovery plan. We need to reinvest in our small and minority businesses. we need to reinvest and invest in uplifting our public schools and providing those wraparound supports so our young people can thrive and can make up a lot of that learning loss. I know my son has quite a bit of learning loss from just the impact of the pandemic and not being in the classroom every day. And there's so many kids like him in that boat. And we have to pour into them and help them catch up and make up for a lot of that learning loss. Our seniors and veterans still have big challenges. Right now, Council Chair Hawkins and I, along with Councilmember Burrows and others, have proposed a seniors tax credit that will give seniors who've been in their home at least 5 years a 5-year tax credit at $2,500 per year. We recognize the challenges being a senior who's lived their lives and helped build this county, the challenges in staying in your home and the costs of, that are associated with that. And so we're gonna do something about that, and we're gonna meet this moment. Prince George's County is going to come back. We're gonna be better than we were before when we were leading the state in job creation. We're going to be far better than that in the future. So I look forward to the opportunity if voters elect to reelect me as council member at large, along with my colleague, Council Chair Calvin Hawkins. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hawkins, would you please give your closing statement?
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins, and thank you for being an outstanding moderator. All I want to share with those who are listening and looking at this very important discussion about our future. I came in office expecting to do a lot of significant things. I believe I have, along with my colleagues, and I must say publicly thanks to Councilmember Franklin for his leadership and his mentorship as a new council member arriving on the county council. Served 2 years as chair in the midst of a pandemic, COVID-19. We have made record strides in funding for veterans that you all asked about earlier, the highest budget they have had. We've dealt with senior issues, as Councilmember Franklin referenced. We're dealing with economic development while helping our youth through their education and recreation and making sure that Prince George's County will be better than we found it. My friends, I ask you for an opportunity to return to serving for another 4 years as one of your council members at large, and just check the record. Check the record. All the meetings are public. The law requires that we have public meetings. We can't do anything in secret because the law doesn't allow us. But what I will tell you is, if you want two individuals who have a track record of serving you, check out Councilmember Franklin and Councilmember Hawkins, and I believe in the most humble way I can say that you will end up supporting us for another term. And thank you for this opportunity again, Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you. Mr. White, your closing statement, please.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone, even my opponents that showed up. Reed Temple, thank you for everything. Thank you for even considering me and inviting me. With that being said, keeping our families safe and our neighborhood safe is my top priority. I'm grateful for the tremendous work that Prince George's County Police does, and we'll fight to provide them with every resource to keep keeping us safe. Next, I recognize just how essential it is for our children to have a quality education, together with an after-school programs and sports and other initiatives. That is why we'll work to safeguard the quality of our local public schools and increase support for our youth programs. That keeps kids out of trouble and help them thrive. Also, our local businesses are a strength of our economic growth. We must guarantee that they have the assistance they need to be successful and grow. I just want to be the solution to your problem. If there's a pothole that needs to be fixed, I want to help you get it fixed. If there's a street light that needs to be replaced, I want to help you get it replaced. In the wintertime, if your sidewalk needs to be shoveled, I want to help you shovel your sidewalk. That is why I'm running, because I care. And like I said, in July, when it's time to vote, I hope you vote for me, and I hope I earned your vote today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. This concludes our forum for County Council at Large. I would like to thank our candidates for their participation in this afternoon and for their willingness to run for this important office. I wish you all luck. Remember, our voices matter. Please vote. We will now take a short break while we prepare for our second session, County Executive Forum. Thank you.